I didn't speak about my personal experience as far as having anxiety and depression and dealing with it because of that fear of, what are others going to think from my field or, feeling like that's a weakness. But until I worked through those issues of thinking like that, then it made me realize, I'm human too.
Welcome back to another episode of Talking About It. I'm Ashlee, and on today's show, I am joined by Mary Lou Morales, owner and CEO of Tranquil Minds Behavioral Health. Good morning, Mary Lou. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Ashley.
I appreciate you coming on and for reaching out. I go like on these rabbit holes whenever I have a guest, and just kind of like going through your website and seeing the things that you're doing is really cool. And we need so much more of it and quality, right? Like not just only more people doing the work, but
hmm
quality, compassion, caring.
Thank you. Yes, and I'm glad to be on. So again, my name is Mary Lou Morales, and I was born and raised here in El Paso, Texas. Came into the behavioral health field by accident, not necessarily and intentionally wanting to work in that field, but I needed a job, and somebody presented it to me working at a psychiatric hospital, and this was a little over like 25 years ago. And so I had the opportunity to start working at this hospital, and I never looked back. I really do like the field and being able to help people that suffer from mental health issues, and yeah, so that's where I started.
What exactly pulled you into behavioral health? So,
Yeah, so I mean, once I started working in behavioral health, it opened my eyes as to, how like when people are physically sick, right? You go to the doctor or you go to the hospital or whatever situation it is. Um, but I never really knew that mental health was um, as important, right? So
Mhm.
once I started and seeing, especially because I worked with like children and adolescents, so I got to see firsthand, struggles that they were going through, whether it was with depression, anxiety, or behavioral issues, right? And not knowing that some of it was really out of their control
Yeah.
because of what was going on in their brain.
Do you find that that's something that's very common where, like you said, they don't have control over it, parenting and things like that? So it kind of puts like a stigma on that behavioral health. Is that something that you see in your practice?
Yes, we see that a lot. We see that that hesitation to want to get help. Um
Mm,
and and really I can tell you, even growing up, like nobody talked about it, right? Like nobody talked about having they're having depression or having anxiety. It really makes me think now, how many people were dealing with these symptoms and just never got the help. Or even still now, I'll go to events and people will tell me, I'm not crazy. I don't need that. And it's not necessarily that you have to be crazy to get the help, right? It could be something like I said, anxiety, or someone having trouble concentrating at school and, not being able to focus. We can even help treat those kids as well. So it's a lot of different there's a lot of different reasons as to
mm.
why to seek mental health help. And it's not necessarily that you have to be crazy, right, to be able to get the help.
Yeah, I think it's crazier doing the same shit over and over again and expecting a different result, and you don't get the help because you're just so busy avoiding it. I was that person, that was me. A lot of people that I come in contact with is we just get tired of living in the way that we're living, like just feeling exhausted all the time and scared or holding us back or not having good relationships or not communicating, like all these things. So I get what you're saying because we do think, "Oh, well, I'm not that crazy." And I seen a shirt one time that said, "My wife puts the hot in psychotic." And I was like so, like, people say that, and it's like, no, I think
Mhm.
it's crazier that I lived 40 years, yeah, I'm 46. I started having anxiety and panic since I was 6 years old. Back in the '80s, it wasn't like, and you said it, they didn't diagnose problems, they didn't realize that it was like, "Oh, I was having trauma, I was in survival mode," like, all of these things, we didn't know about it. I was just a bad kid who was, um, acting out and misbehaving, and I was bad. And so I think now just having places where we can go and find help for our children, um, and getting them that help early. I also think it starts with parenting where we have to kind of take accountability too and like do the work on ourselves, which was the main reason in the beginning that I started like I need to get help because I wanted to be the best mom and the best wife I could
Mhm.
be. So yeah, I think that we need to, and that's why we're here, right? Is to just kind of break that stigma. Like, no, you don't have to be crazy to want to feel better. Or if you have anxiety, it doesn't make you crazy. It just makes you awkward. I'm so awkward. I'm so
No, no,
I'm
Ashley,
so awkward.
and just to kinda interject, but that was me too. I'm close to your age and in the '80s as well. I remember growing up and I always had a stomach ache. I mean, I
Yeah.
physically had a stomach ache, and I remember my mom would, take me to different doctors, different clinics to see what was wrong with me because it was a true pain that I had. And until somebody told her, it's nerves. She's
Mhm.
just a nervous person. But, they didn't give me medication or treat it, so it was just told to us, oh, well, she has, her nervous system, it has to do with her nervous system.
She's just nervous. Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
and so I remember for a long time being little and having to deal with that, going to school and, you know, having to go to the nurse because I physically didn't feel good and then come to find out that it was, feeling nervous or having
Yeah.
anxiety, right?
Yeah.
Is what it was.
Yeah, like, when the teachers would leave the classroom, oh, I could just feel my stomach like, ugh, like, and so
Mhm.
I would cause trouble so that the teacher would have to come in, or they would send me to, like, the principal's office where I was with somebody, I wasn't by myself. And I also, yeah, I dealt with stomach issues as a kid as well. My dad would have me take me to go get X-rays on my stomach. It's like, "No, she's
Mhm.
fine, it's just nerves." And then the testing, you're around my age, so you had to go through, like, the TOS test, and I would get so nervous, I would freeze. So, like, I almost didn't graduate high school because I couldn't pass the math section of the TOS test. I
Oh,
did it, like,
okay.
the week before. I did it, like, right before the cutoff or whatever, so I literally found out if I was graduating, like, right before. It was crazy. But anyway, I feel like there's kind of, like, an imbalance because now, like, with our kids, we know that some of these things happen, and I feel like we overcorrect it, and it's like everything is anxiety, everything is something when it's really not necessarily all of that. Um, do you find people where, like, they overcorrected or, it's not necessarily that yet? Because I feel like with the
Yes.
diagnosis? Sorry. I feel like the people are diagnosed with so many different things, and it's like, wait, we need to, before we go there, we need to kinda, like, bring it back and, like, see, like, getting the evaluations. I think that's what I'm trying to say is, depending on what your algorithm is, your ADD, ADHD, perimenopause, you some form of autism, like, there's always something because we're, like, getting fed all of that stuff. Do you see some of that?
Yeah, we actually do, and, really what it boils down to is educating, right? So,
Yeah.
making sure that parents, and individuals seeking help are educated, on, you know, diagnoses or what they're feeling, and it's okay to ask for for help, right? So
Yeah.
that initial evaluation can help determine whether it's something truly going on in your mind,
Yeah.
or if it's something maybe physical. It really can determine, like what the next steps should be. If it's to continue therapy or maybe see a psychiatrist, make that recommendation. But it's really in that first evaluation that we would be able to make that
To make the
determination.
and also
Hmm.
preventative is good too, right? Like, so you don't have to go and, like, have an issue. Preventative is okay if you start to feel like, "Ugh, I'm feeling a little bit off," or things kind of I'm not able to let things go as easy as I was or anything like that. Like, it's always good to go in preventatively as well, right? To just get that initial, evaluation because you don't have to be crazy bananas or anything like how we're talking about. You can go in just because you wanna work on communication and different things like that.
Yes, and I agree with you because we have stress on a day-to-day basis. So some people are better at managing that stress than others. So we see clients that really go in because they want to learn how to be able to manage the stress that they go through on a daily basis. Then then putting like a firm diagnoses of whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So making sure that we can teach them coping skills as to what can be done to help them get through those situations.
Yeah, I like that. And also too, when I was, going through like, when we were kind of having the initial conversations and stuff, um, something really stood out to me that it was that there were certain seasons, where you were barely able to kind of hold things together. Um, what helped you get through those, seasons? Or, like, how did those experiences shape the way that you approach your work?
Really, me personally, it does take a lot. I mean, I'm just because I'm in the field doesn't mean that I also, don't go through things, or me personally, to be quite honest, I have anxiety and episodes of depression. So I do have to take care of myself, make sure that, I see a therapist, and also be able to, if need be, take the medication that, is needed for me to feel better. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of firsthand having to take care of yourself in every way, and it's not just um letting it drag or letting it
Yeah.
continue. So I think no matter like what season it is, it's just really making sure that what you are going through or feeling, that you do get help or seek guidance for that.
I talk to a lot of people in your field of work and I'm like, "How do you guys do it?" Like,
Hmm.
it's gotta be difficult, and, I just was on a podcast recently, and, the host asked me about sharing people's stories, like, "Does it affect me?" And in the beginning, it did, it really used to affect me because I would, like, take on their pain because you because you are going in the first person sense of it, we can, like, hear a story and place ourselves in that trauma or have some type of a trauma bond with the person because it's like, "Oh, I've been there," or "I've felt that." And then you kind of feel like, connected to that or like it has an effect on you. And so, you saying that you have to take care of yourself and make sure that you're okay. I say this all the time is it's the whole you got to put your mask on first to take care of anybody else. And so I think that, you guys that are in the field, I just commend you all because it can't be easy. And I feel like we need more people like you who are firsthand going through these things. A lot of what I found when I was really looking for help and trying to heal or figure out what the heck was going on with me was a lot of people who had no idea what I was going through. So
Hmm.
I think that having that firsthand experience is really imperative because I would just get pills
Mhm.
and get sent home, and so being able to find people who have been there and can understand, I think that's really important. Um, but let me ask you, well, on that subject, what positive changes are you currently seeing in mental health care right now?
Well, I think that, you know, right now in mental health, we have a stronger voice. I can tell you, based on, of course, experience, right? And dealing with mental health issues as young as an adolescent. Um, so I think the community of mental health has actually been able to speak about it a lot more.
Yeah.
Of course, the stigma is still there,
Mhm.
but I think that we all um, are able to
Excuse
unite, at events
Yes,
or just even as individually, right? As individuals, be able to speak about it confidently and really advocate for it.
yeah.
So I do feel like there has been a change when it comes to that.
Definitely, definitely more people willing to talk about these issues. I give a lot of the credit to the pandemic because prior to that it was nothing. After when people started feeling cooped up and started feeling um uh scared and they didn't know what was coming and the uncertainty, I think that was
Hmm.
an uptick in anxiety, depression, things like that, and so it was taken a little bit more seriously, and I think that us continuing to have these conversations and for you, and your practice to offer these spaces, I mean, it's hopeful, right? Like, it's kind of exciting being in this time right now. I don't know if it's our culture where we live. When I started, it was kinda trying to find the resources that I was looking for, and
Hmm.
so we're finding more people who are we can connect with each other and have events and do all of these things. Um, because yeah, we just need more of it. A lot more people are getting like sober now and they're like working. I think it's younger, like younger than oh, I was born in the 80s. So younger than us, like or younger than me, like they're running and they're doing all of these physical activities. And I think it's so great to see that these younger people are taking their mental health seriously, you know. I'm
And
rooting for
you're,
us. I'm rooting
yeah.
for us 40-year-olds. Like, come on, y'all.
Yes, and I do see that a lot, posted on social media, and that's a great thing, right? That's a coping mechanism that can really help with your mental health.
Yeah, for sure. Physical activity for me is not contributing to good mental health. It freaks me out still. It's a work in progress. So I
Mhm.
don't understand it, but just the fact that there's different ways and different things that people are doing that, like you said, are coping mechanisms and they don't, might not realize it. But that they're more positive, right? Like for me, it was alcohol. I was a drinker. So like that was my coping mechanism. That was my coping mechanism. Probably running would have been a little bit better for
Better.
me.
Yeah.
But you also have, a milestone, right? Like, you're coming up here on your 3-year anniversary?
Yes. Um,
Congratulations for that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been a journey for sure, but a good one,
Yeah.
and it really does make me happy to say that, we've impacted people's lives in a good way. And of course, showing that empathy and being compassionate because working in the field, you need to be those things. You can't, I mean, I don't picture myself going to a therapist that wouldn't be empathetic or wouldn't be compassionate. I don't know if I would ever go back, but really, I think having that instilled in you,
Mhm.
especially knowing it firsthand, what it feels to be on the other side,
Yes.
it really does make a difference.
1000%. I've been to some of those therapists and psychiatrists, and they're like, "If you're not taking the pills, I'm not gonna help you."
Mm.
Or, "I was having a panic attack," this like a full-blown panic, like, I could not breathe, and this lady was asking me to sign a check to pay her before she would even see me. Like, my husband, like, pulled me out of there, so he's like, "We're going." And, like, I still had a full-blown panic attack, but then in the car, it was just a whole thing, but, like, finding people, I'm telling you, and, like, so that you've been doing this for 3 years, I feel like you've started to kind of see the uphill progression, right? Positive the positive growth of people
Mhm.
coming to look for help.
Well, I mean, we wanna make sure that, well, for one, that it's quality, work that we're providing. So, making sure that the team that I have is as passionate as I am, right?
Mhm.
Because, I wouldn't want it any other way. Like, if somebody that was on my team, didn't really wasn't there for, like, the right reasons,
Yeah,
then that wouldn't speak to what Tranquil Minds is about.
yeah,
So, just making sure that, I find those individuals, within the clinic that cares as much as I do.
yeah,
So, I think that really does impact, from the first, interaction that you have with the client, and also making sure that, we provide those, anonymous surveys to see where we're at,
yeah.
right? Because then at that point, they can truthfully tell us, where we can improve on. So I think things just implementing things like that also do help,
Yeah.
to make us better.
I love that you implement a survey, an
Mhm,
anonymous survey. I feel like that right there shows that you want to know what's going on, and people often right away will criticize, but we can't change things that we don't know are going wrong, like, we have it's like when you see a bad review of a restaurant or something. It's like, "Okay, well, but did you let them know first what was going on and then nothing happened?" So I think it's really important that you have that, and that just speaks, in my opinion, of how much you do care about, people's experience when they go see you, because I have not found that to be a common thing. I've
mhm.
been all over the place in this city for help, and so I commend you on that. I think it's a great, resource or tool that you provide, so that you always kind of stay um, in tune with your patients, I love that. Um, so let me ask you, Mary Lou, if someone listening today feels overwhelmed or unsure where to start with their mental health, what would be the first step that you would encourage them to take?
I would encourage them to definitely make that call, right? To make that call to get an appointment to be able to be seen and evaluated to see how we can help. So it's really having the courage to take that first step and not think that, it's wrong to do that or that it makes them weak or anything like that. Because, like I tell you firsthand, I think that first step it speaks volumes, right?
Yeah,
And being able to talk to yourself and say, no, I need to make a change if that's what you really do want to do.
yeah.
Because without doing that first step, then you're always going to be in, I guess, funk or whatever it is, right? That's
Mhm.
going on. So I would really encourage anybody to call and make an appointment.
Yeah, in that insanity loop that we just love that loop sometimes. Like,
Mhm.
like, we just get so stuck in it, and then when you start to heal, you start to kind of shed that a little bit, and then you're, like, rebuilding yourself, so, like, you're more sensitive to certain things. So it's kind of like this weird healing is so weird, y'all. It really is, but it's, like, the best kind of weird, um, because you're learning more, you're growing, you're evolving, and it's hard, but it's needed. I mean, just yesterday, I had a hard day yesterday, like, hard, like, probably one of the hardest that I've had in a minute, and without me have gone through this kind of journey of healing, um, my rebound I might not have been able to do this interview today because I
Mm,
would have still just been it was a feeling of defeat that I
yeah.
felt, like a sadness that I can't wait till I can talk more about it, because I share everything with you guys. It's just at this point I can't kind of talk about this specifically yet, but like I felt like a defeat, and I'm not a crier, but like I was just crying, like I could not stop crying. Uh my therapist actually reached out to me and she's like, "That's your nervous system, like, trying to regulate yourself."
Mhm.
I didn't know that was a thing, like, we get told not to cry, like, crying is weakness, and so, like,
Yeah.
I had that lump and I was just, like, trying to swallow it down, like, "Why am I crying?" Like, I'm mad, I'm not sad, and so it was kind of like a thing, but
And I think just sitting with that discomfort,
yeah,
that's where you make that decision or you have to like decide, do I want to choose healing, right? Do I want to
yes.
heal? Um, and and again, even when you are in therapy, there'll be times where you sit in discomfort.
Mm,
And it's just really being honest with yourself, right? Because if
yes.
not, then you're always gonna be stuck in that.
Yeah, and you said that learning to be in the discomfort. Like,
Mhm.
I am still not feeling fantastic, but I have a plan. I was able to sit in that discomfort yesterday and let the rage kind of build up and then change it to a focus of, "Okay, here's our plan of action, here's what I'm gonna do." And before I wouldn't have been able to do that. It would have just been straight rage, like so yeah.
And I think
Progress.
too
I think
yes,
progress. I think
progress.
that's progress, like, I was telling my family, I'm like, "I didn't feel anxious yesterday, I didn't have to take my pill yesterday," and usually that would have been a day where I would have, like, had to take a full pill, and I just felt defeated, like, exhausted, and, yeah, so it's just the rebounds get a little bit faster, and
Mhm.
that is progress for sure.
And, we also have to keep in mind that medication is not solely, gonna
Mm-mm,
help us.
it
So
doesn't.
so we also have to implement different things and a way to learn how to implement those things is, seeing a therapist,
Mm,
speaking to somebody, feeling heard and seen. I
yes.
think by someone that can definitely support you and give you that chance to like rise again
Yes.
is what really matters too.
Yeah, I agree. I think that just building that connection. So I have a full team. So I have a nutritionist, I have my primary care provider, I have a therapist. Like so I feel like when you're trying to heal, it's important that you kind of have a full team around you so that everybody kind of is helping each part of you and you're not just focusing on one part because one thing
Mhm.
they are all connected, you don't really realize that, until you're kind of going through it, but yeah, it's all connected.
I I think too is that we have to learn that we can't pour from an empty cup,
Mm,
right? So even um when some like even at work, right? I know that certain things need to run a certain way and things
mm,
like that. But if I'm internally not feeling okay, then I'm not giving it my 100%. So
yes,
I need to make sure that I take care of myself.
yes, for sure. Yeah, and I think that's a lot of, like, what happens nowadays is that people spread themselves so thin, and then they're not taking care of themselves, and then it just kind of
Mhm.
is again, you get into this insanity circle where you're like, "Ugh," until something finally breaks, and then you're, like, rock bottom, and then you have to kind of rebuild, so there is preventative ways, guys, so make sure you make those appointments. Reach out to somebody that can give you an initial evaluation, such as Miss Mary Lou Morales, and see where you're at. Get a baseline, because sometimes we don't even have that. Like I think it's important. I think that helps give clarity because then you kind of see where you started, and like now, a month or 2 ago, I wouldn't have been able to notice the progress that I've made like I have
Mhm.
today. So, like, that's fuck yeah, patting myself on the back because that's huge. Like, before I would have just been like, "Oh, like, this is just" no, it would have been like another week in bed, or it would have been something, and I don't feel that right now, and that's healing. That's
No,
healing,
and
though.
I agree with you too because I think that, um that I had to confront, that helping others starts with learning how to honor your own limits. So
Mhm.
that experience taught me that boundaries aren't a weakness and they actually allow me to show up fully.
Yeah,
And that's one of the things that, I'm still working on,
yeah,
but I'm aware of that and being able to set those boundaries. It has helped me personally, um, because I can't fix everybody's, and I'm not talking about
yeah.
clients, but I can't fix everybody's problems, like in my family
Mhm.
or with friends, or sometimes even if people vent to me, and I I would dwell a lot on those
Yes.
things and, well, how can I help, and it would stay with me. So I really have to work on having those boundaries and making sure that I'm good before even trying to give advice, right?
Yeah, for sure. No, yes, 100% yes, that's exactly how I feel. We cannot care more about you feeling better than you do. And if we
Mhm.
care more about it, like, that's a fucking problem. You need to look in the mirror. I have a very big thing with accountability. Like, I
Mhm.
am all for mental health and talking about it and offering resources and being there to help people and all of that. But they have to take they have to take the reins and they have to take accountability of the things. I had to do it when I was starting my journey. I had to take accountability that I was not a good communicator, that I was suppressing feelings, like all of these things, you have to take accountability for it. We cannot do it for you. Your therapist cannot do it for you. They can help guide the way, but they cannot do the work for you. And I think that
Mhm.
that that might not be a popular opinion, but I'm not here for popular opinions. I'm here if you're truly wanting to get better and you want to feel different and you want to elevate your circumstances, like, do the fucking work. Like, you can't just start it and like, "Oh, I didn't like it. It's too hard." It is hard. It's very hard. It's gonna be the hardest thing, but it's not gonna be any harder than the shit that you had to crawl through to get to where you were, and you're still doing the same thing. At least you're gonna get somewhere outside of the tunnel, you know? So, yeah, that's the ash
It's
rant of the day. That's the ash rant of the day because
no.
I get very frustrated because,
Yeah.
and you say it, people will come and ask for advice, ask for resources. You help them, like you said, it's like a itch in your brain. Like you're constantly going back to that, like, oh my God, are they going to be okay? Maybe I can do this. Maybe I can. And like, if I'm worrying more about it than you are, like, no. And so that's why I say like it gets frustrating because it's like, yes, we are here for you, but you need to be the ones that say like, "All right, I'm ready. I'm gonna do this." And you're gonna fall, and it's gonna suck, and you're gonna have to start back over, but at least you're moving forward, and that's all you wanna do, you know?
And that's sitting in your discomfort, like how we mentioned
Yes.
earlier. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
Mhm.
100%. Like, what is it? Embrace the suck, right? For a while there, I thought healing was taking away my edge, was making me feel less, like, on point, and this yesterday gave me a revelation of that shit's still in me. It's just a more clear, focused, driven, like, one. It's not a chaotic going all over the place. It's like, "No, this is how we're gonna do it," and I don't have that extra, like, spinning out that maybe people have, when you're angry, you just maybe it's emotion, like, you let the
Mhm.
emotion kind of take over and eat at you, and I don't have that. I don't have that emotional attachment. I'm like, "Alright," like, locked in. I encourage people to check out you do have a website,
Yes, we do. It is www.tranquilmindsbh.co. So they can go on there and our information and location are on there as well. Or they can call our number, which is 915-671-2166 and make that appointment. But I agree with you. It doesn't mean that once you seek help, these symptoms are going to go away. It's how to manage them, right?
Yeah.
Is what you learn. And and again, I mean, everybody's story is different. So we just have to be mindful of that.
Yes, I agree. And, Mary Lou, you guys are also on social media, right? On
Correct.
Instagram?
We're on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn.
Thank you, so much, Mary Lou, for joining me, this morning and for taking the time to come on. Is there anything else that you wanted to hit on, to let people know about your, practice or yourself?
No, I mean, I think just really reinforcing the fact that asking for help isn't a weakness. I just really want to point that out because, like I said, especially in our culture, right? The Hispanic culture sometimes has a harder time asking for
Yeah,
that help, and believe it or not, I've seen a lot of more Hispanic families coming in
yeah,
to be able to bring their children because it's gotten to that point where they're at wit's end and they don't know what else to do. So
yeah,
yes, it's really making that taking that first step and acknowledging that asking for help is not it's not a weakness. And also, advocating for yourself, being able to you personally say I don't feel right. This is what I'm feeling. I think I need to see someone.
yeah.
Um, Being able to advocate for yourself and together, we can all break the stigma on mental illness.
Amen, sister. One more quick question. Your clinic, you see all ages, or do you only see specific, like, adolescents or anything like that?
So we start at age 5 until seniors. So we're
Okay.
able to see like older adults as well.
Okay, perfect. I just wanted to make sure so that, people listening, parents, if you're looking for a place that um, helps the adolescents, and so from age 5 up into senior, Tranquil Minds Behavioral
Uh-huh.
Health Center is a place that you really should check out because having access to a clinic where they have been through some of the things, that your child might be experiencing is gonna be the difference. So thank you so much for being here and for the work that you're doing to help expand the access to compassionate mental health care. To everyone listening, remember you are not alone. Healing takes time, but the support is there. You just have to be willing to take that first step and do the work. Thanks for listening to Talking About It. As always, keep on talking about the hard things so that you can start enjoying the good things. We'll see you on the next one.